I can't tell if my hat is crooked or if it's my head. Perhaps my head is crooked. Hello, I'm Charlie Simons, your host here on Do Not Talk, talking about two things you're never supposed to talk about: politics and religion. One decides what life is going to be like here on earth, the other one decides what it's going to be like when we leave it. The silent majority has finally found its voice. Now we just need to get louder. But oftentimes, we don't know how to get louder. We don't know how to get our word out. If you're like me and you post truth that you find, you talk about it on your social media platforms and so on, you've probably gotten the warnings. You've probably gotten shut down. You've probably been locked out of your account for a day, a week. One time it was a month for me on Facebook. I had several Facebook pages. I'm a country radio DJ as well. So I got my country music page and I had my personal page. I had my media page and my Do Not Talk page. They were all taken away a little over 2 months ago, deleted. No excuse, no reason other than I violated community standards. They didn't tell me what those standards were or what it was that violated them. They didn't even bother explaining that. They just said, you did it, you're done, we're taking you down, don't come back. Seriously. I'm not even able to access things that post on Facebook when they share links with me. That's been tough because I put all my eggs in the Meta basket. Oh, and they canceled my Instagram as well. So I can't let people know when I have new shows coming out anymore. It's been discouraging for those of us who don't quit, because a lot of people, to get one or two warnings, they'll go, oh, I don't want to lose everything, so I'm just going to quit. You don't want to wind up like me, where you've lost everything. So you sit down, you shut up, you stop talking about things, and it works. Unfortunately, it works. I'm a prime example of what they can do and will do, even though they're sitting there talking with President Trump and Mark Zuckerberg showing up at President Trump's inauguration and all that stuff. And, oh, we're getting rid of the fact checkers. No, it's all AI now. Yeah, they may have they may have gotten rid of the fact checkers, which just saves them money, but it's all trigger words. Boom, 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 boom. You say them, you get taken down, you get deleted. And it's not just on Facebook and with Meta and Instagrams, on so many of them. Even X, I have conservative friends who, even under Elon Musk, who've had things taken down on X, which is supposed to be the ultimate free speech platform now, right? No. So I put all my eggs now in the Rumble basket, rumble.com/do not talk, rumble.com/do not talk. Please follow that channel if you're watching me there. If you're on YouTube right now, please follow and subscribe to this page. Also on Instagram and not Instagram, LinkedIn. That's what I meant, LinkedIn. I'm on Twitch now too, which is kind of fun. Twitch.tv. But the reason why I bring all this up is two reasons. One, to promote my website, because you'll always be able to find shows there. It's on a private server. They're not going to take that down. At charliesimons.com, CharlieSimons.com. You can find all the shows always there. It's a place you can go, but you got to follow. You got to want to, and you got to share if you can, if you're not afraid. That's who I'm talking with today. That's the other reason why I brought this up. Her name is Susan Hamilton. She is the chief bottle washer at OBBM Network. What? What is that? Well, it's another way for us to be able to reach you with our mess. When I say us and we, I'm talking about the alternative media, which I've been in the media all my life. Never thought I was alternative media, but I guess I am. So I embrace that now. Let's meet Susan Hamilton, see what they're doing at OBBM Network on Do Not Talk. Hit it.
Hi there.
Well, hello, hi there, right back to you. Or as you say down where you're from, howdy. What's
Howdy,
going
y'all.
on?
Howdy,
Yeah.
y'all. How you
Hey,
doing?
it's fall, y'all. I love Texas. And are you born and raised there?
No, I'm from Wisconsin once upon a time, but I've been here since I was probably 15, so I'm naturalized.
You probably miss all those Wisconsin winters, don't you?
I have family up there. I go up there when I can. I actually really love it. But God knew what he was doing when he put me in North Texas because I get just enough winter. It's perfect.
There you go.
That's enough, and I love the heat, and I would never get this kind of heat in Wisconsin, so I dig it. Anyway,
Good.
we're coming off of it, and I think you're probably a little more like Wisconsin up in Sacramento there.
I don't know. I've never even been to Wisconsin.
Oh, well, it sure is beautiful. You would love it. You would love
Is it?
it very
All
much.
right. Well, I think we got
Although
plenty of
it's
that.
hard to hold a candle to how beautiful California is,
I was
and
just going to say that. And we got the ocean, my friend.
yeah,
The great thing about California, the first thing that everyone talks about is the weather. I love the weather. Yeah, in NorCal we do get the four seasons. SoCal, no, it's sunny and nice all year long, isn't it? And unless the wildfires are raging, and President or Governor Hairdo is down there doing his dance back and forth when he's on camera.
not a
Yeah,
swagger, Tony.
such a weirdo.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've got an interesting time today, and it's exciting to really kind of be talking to the market you're talking to. We look at media very differently. It's unfortunate you've gone through what you've gone through, but if you'll just what's the word I'm looking for? I'd like to kind of help you and your audience kind of reframe what's happened over the last few years, because we what's happened in television is very different, and today we have options like we've never had before, and it's put us in a really cool position. And one of those situations is most of us by now, and the conservative side of the coin, have looked at the situation. We recognize that we have been programmed, and that programming actually happens. It's a training mechanism for your mind and your will and your emotional life, which has so much to do with you, the energy that you exude. You're going to attract what you put out. So the more negative and miserable you can be, the more you'll get. And so that's just kind of something that's actually physically proven. That's science. That's science. What we realized is through all of that, whether it's the type of programming that we were exposed to, it wasn't just that. It was all the little PSAs in between. It was all the information, all the sound. Every time a story was expressed to you, it was expressed to us with this a matter of fact way that we're coming from a point that we all understand the climate, right? And we all understand that this is how it is, right? So from that, we're gonna from that baseline that we all agree that life looks like this. Everything else outside of that is bizarre and wrong and misinformation. But that started a long time ago. You and I have been around long enough to remember the Waltons and the Rookies, and a time when TV was fun, a time when TV wasn't all about every man and the family being a bumbling idiot. And there was a time when I grew up worshiping on Sabbath, and that for us, that was just family time. That was our time. We didn't that my dad was big on it. It was hard as a kid to feel like you weren't being included with everything else. But I'll never forget how the core of our family and how that brought us together. And Friday night, the TV would go on, and we would watch some more wholesome programming and maybe some movies. And mom and I'd make some popcorn and malteds, and the guys would, dad would play with my younger brothers would do their stuff, and that was our time. TV was different. It wasn't about trying to indoctrinate you into a way of thinking, but it didn't take long, because right in that space, people started realizing, and probably before then, that there was a recognition that what media could do is control your mind, control your thought process, control your energy, control what you put out, and make those useless idiots they can't wait to talk to you about. This is, there's books written on what's going on in our world right now, and those books showcase the very elite and powerful having absolutely everything. And if you read, and you should, about 300 pages of the Sustainable Development Goals, you should read them. You start realizing that there's a very real way that we are looked at. And in their books, there's these elite people, and then there's these other people that are kind of hunched over, and they're kind of sickly, and they do all the stuff. And so there's too many of us, because those are useless eaters, and so we've got to kind of start limiting that. But the idea of some of these elites is very much like the Hunger Games. If you've ever seen it, that's a very true portrayal of what's happened here, because people that eccentricity, that of what it looks like to consider yourself elite and give yourself that title, and that's leadership, by the way. Remember, we gave them that word, we let them use it. So they're in this space operating on a very different level than we are, because we were drinking Kool-Aid, we were eating popcorn, we were busy going on with our life. And what we did, we laid down everything. And wherever you abdicate your authority in a situation, somebody else is happy to come in and take that space. That's what they did. So now somebody else is raising your kids. Now somebody else is telling you how things are. By the way, we haven't been running under the Constitution for so many years. Your own city council has no idea that they are running at their entire city according to the United Nations. You wouldn't know that if you don't actually know the Constitution, the Federalist Papers, the Anti-Federalist Papers, your own state constitution, or your city charter. And most people running for office today have no idea what those documents represent and how they're based on that common law and an understanding that says, hey, government, you go this far and you don't go any further. You don't get to my people, my person, my business, and my property. That's how far you go. And you don't come into me and tell me what and turn this thing around. So if we're coming at it from that perspective, and media played such a big role, and it did, because through the MK Ultra years and all of those things that were real and undocumented, they're documented now. Now you can see all that stuff for yourself. You can prove it out. You realize that it was really easy to control somebody's mind with television. With audio, if you read a book, you have to imagine what something looks like. You have to imagine what something sounds like, and you actually inspire your mind. Your synapses work. Very similar when you're learning another language and you're learning something new and you're challenging yourself. That's good for your brain, man. It makes you think. But if you're just listening to something, well, then you can visualize something. So you're using part of your brain. It's better. But if you're watching television, your alpha and beta waves are completely controlled, and you don't have to think.
They just shut down.
Don't have to think about what it sounds like. There's zero imagination. You are literally being programmed. And over the years, pretty soon, we just started seeing, you watch family programming and homosexuals are in bed together. Or pretty soon you're watching a Tide commercial. You're watching family programming. That's great. But now the spouses, it's funny now to watch a man be a bumbling idiot. It's funny now to watch some of the things that we would normally in society say, well, I get pick and humor, but those became like the symbols of the day. And what that really is psychologically is keeping you busy with bread and circus, so you'll never know your city council, your county commissioners, what's going on in your own backyard, where 85% of the things that happen to you are happening. And it doesn't matter what's going on at the federal level, because your city council and your county commissioners and your state legislators are moving forward just as fast as they can, because they're not operating under the Constitution. And so while we have a bunch of people going, hey, the Constitution, there is no judge in the United States of America that's operating under the Constitution, we're not using it. The only people that believe in freedom and understand what that is are you and me. That's it. And so, guys, when did the government give us First Amendment media? When did they give us freedom of the press? When I read that, I don't see that anywhere. I don't see anywhere in the government that said, hey, the government's responsibility is to give you freedom of the press. Or large corporate narratives that are going to tell you what that is. And it's such a big problem, because what they knew they were doing to divide us, which is also part of the Marxist playbook, make sure we don't talk, make sure we don't agree, make sure there's a clear line between all this and that, all the way along, everywhere along your life. So there is no walking down the street and just hi to your neighbor and maybe you go talk to him like it used to be. And it should be, and I'm determined to live that life. But get out and meet people, guys. Just get out of this mess, because this was an intentional situation that we were put in. And because the very next thing we did, if you can't see how they play both sides of these coins, we as conservatives took a look at everything, which, by the way, there's more of us. There's not fewer of us. There's more of us. There's more of us, and greater is he who's in us than he who's in this world. And more are with us than are with them. But just on the whole, the conservative market is the hottest market on the globe. We will walk across hot glass to work with people that support our values, but we don't know it. And we're so busy living under that spirit of fear and intimidation, because that's the media mind control that we've had for so long. But we thought we were doing something when we jumped over to YouTube and to user uploaded stuff. Load your own stuff. Get your voice out there. Go right ahead. And you know what? Your voice is going to matter. You're going to learn something. You're going to learn something about the criminal nature of every damn thing you've ever been exposed to in your life. And the problem is, the other side of it is all you've done at the end of the day, when your idea of reach, when your idea of subscribers and viewership and influence is what they've taught you it is, all you've done is taught somebody else how to pick up their phone and share a link. And they did something. They shared that link. They let more people know that they know what they know, so they'd sit there and watch more stuff. Yes, they did. Did you know they lied about that? Yes, they did lie about that. I'm so done with it. I'm so done with it. We had to say, what if we threw out everything that we've been told television is, which was supposed to be a reflection of us when it wasn't? It was a conveyance and a mind control deal. What if we threw it out? What if we said, what if television worked? What if the kingdom of God wasn't a parallel economy, but ruling and reigning with him? What if we took our responsibility more powerfully and said, I'm going to work in this role that I know I can be a positive influence in my community, because we don't overcome evil with pissed off patriots, guys. How's that? You're going to overcome evil with good. And that looks different. And that means that when we're running over there, we don't understand that your content on YouTube and Rumble and all of those places, your content over there is making these dogs money, and they're sitting at the World Economic Forum feeding on your ability to get those links out and those viewers, and you're missing the point. You're missing the point entirely, because your voice does matter. It's the most important thing he gave you. You can influence your body. Do this once. Do this once, Charlie. Right here. And say something. Now go, if you're going to
Test,
sing.
check,
Yeah,
test, check.
feel that? Feel it?
Typical media. Test, check, mic check, test,
Right?
test.
Where you said. But the thing of it, that matters to your body. Your body's like a tree of energy all the way through it. All your nervous system, all your energy. And that is a correction to your body, but it's a correction to everything around you when you use the words of God in your mouth. You are actually creating change and prophesying into this community in a way that can heal and whole. And if that's what our Constitution is a book of words that said this is the law, this is how it's going to be done, let's just adhere to it. Let's you and me adhere to it, because at the end of the day, the creation is not greater than its creator. We created the Constitution. We created the Supreme Court. This idea that all of this has greater power than we do at this level is exactly the trap we have all walked into. And we're going to continue doing it without looking at our hyper-local communities in a very different way. And that's what OBBM Network TV is all about. Citizen-led, hyper-local, fast channel networks. Why not do it our way? Technology is available to us today to take this messaging back. And if you don't like the pissed off patriot sound that you get when you're jumping as fast as you can from mainstream television and mainstream social media, and you try to get out of that and you go to the other alternatives, they're just pissed off. They're pissed off, or they're gaming. That's all they're doing. And does that inspire change? Does that help? Did that make the community more educated about their Constitution and their own city charter? Did it help them understand that where our land is being stolen right out from underneath us? They're telling you don't have the rights to water. All of these are under Vision 2045, Strategy 2050. These are all, you're right in it in Sacramento. You are right there. I mean, so is Texas, that CO2 pipeline. And guess what, conservatives? A lot of gas and oil's behind that. What? Yeah, this is a snow job. This is a snow job we're under. And if we don't start paying attention to what somebody else has told us this word means, right? Whether it's conservatism or Republican, Democrat, what is it? You know what? Let's get back to the Constitution and stop letting them do that and start having conversations. Because I guarantee you get out and talk with your neighbors, go grab a beer and a barbecue, or have your friends over for coffee and watch the school board meeting together that you'll find on OBBM Network TV for your local community, and start paying attention in a way that you and I are talking. And we may not agree, but there was a time, you and I remember it, don't we? Couldn't we disagree and still be friends? There was a time when that was the way of life. And I just think we can get it all back.
People keep telling me I need to tone down my rhetoric against the left, and I need to embrace them more and make them feel more welcome, so they want to come over to our side. I'm like, that's a load of crap.
I don't think that. I think the way to do it isn't quite that. That's not what I'm saying, Charlie. I'm saying that's not a resource that they can do anything with. And if you want to help in a major way, okay, people know the problems. I mean, you'd have to be under a rock. not to know the problems. I don't care what side you're on. You have an opinion about the problems. But at the end of the day, what's the solution? And that's what leadership is. Leadership says, I'm not asking for permission. I
No.
know where I stand. I'm solid, and this is how we do it. Let's do it like this. And then you bring other people in and say, like, it's kind of cool. Actually, we worked out all kinds of details. What cooking shows, fitness shows. What is it? What does the Constitution mean? God gave you something. There's something uniquely that you see, and two people could have lived your life and had two very different opinions about what to do with the circumstances you were given and what opinion to have, and they're both very important. That's the thing, that the idea that we can look at each other and humanize each other again isn't. I would say it's not compliance, and I'm not telling you to go make good with the weirdo criminal, because that's what happened. Even the Democrats will tell you their party was taken over. I mean, that they're straight up about it. When are the conservative Republicans going to say the party was taken over? Because it's about time they admitted it too.
Thank you so much for saying that. Oh my God. We just got through with the Republican convention here in California. It is just rife with rhinos. It is
In Texas,
absolutely a lost cause. It's like they enjoy being in second place because it's easier to fundraise, isn't it? They've written off our state. Well, I haven't, and neither have others in my camp on Team Charlie, especially. We don't sit back and roll over and go, okay, well, I guess we just need to give up on California and learn to live with it or leave it. Those seem to be the only two choices. Something you said inspired and brought back the words of Jesus when he told us to be as wise as serpents, but as gentle as doves. And that's exactly what you're talking about. That used to bother me. Why serpents? Why would you say serpents? Because that represents evil. That represents the devil, doesn't it? And then it dawned on me, oh, yeah, we do need to be wise to what they're doing. Otherwise, as the word also says, my people die from lack of knowledge. The biggest, largest search engine in the world is not Google, it's YouTube. Second is Google in the world, the largest for people go to get, oh, let me look up something on that.
they're taught that in school today now.
Who do you think owns YouTube? It's Google. There was a time in our nation where we did not allow that kind of monopoly of information. That's what the Federal Communications Commission was all about, was first of all enforcing the laws, but also making sure that not one voice dominated an entire market, an entire city, an entire area or region.
Good point.
It's that seems to have gone out the window. I mean, how could Google buy YouTube and still be owning and operating internet all this time? People are turning to that for information. I beg my fellow conservatives, stop using Google. Go to Rumble. Start following channels there.
Well,
Get yourself
Rumble's owned partially by BlackRock. I don't know what you're saying, because when you start looking at even that scenario,
when
first
they
of
went
all,
public. Yes,
what
when they went public, they had some pretty nefarious people
well,
buying stuff.
and we're all in that risk, by the way, when you go public. Well, BBM Network TV is committed to being a private network. But let me tell you something. The idea, that was a contrived idea, and don't think for 10 seconds it was not. The idea that our activity, our innate need to respond to evil with resistance was met with, okay, put it over here. We'll help you. And that's as far as it went. And so you've got a chaotic, one of the things that we've noticed that we are addressing at OBBM Network TV is the very chaotic way all that information is in there. There's a lot of great information in YouTube, a lot of great information in Rumble, movies you can't find anywhere else. Well, we pull them. You can find them on OBBM Network TV. But, one of the most important things to really think about is, how does that impact you to move when you see these things that you learn? How does that happen? With OBBM Network TV going into a hyper local market for Dallas or for San Diego, we've got a San Diego channel down there. We'll be in 300 channels this year. We're in 60 right now, in 60 locations. We're 43 right here in Texas. This is an important space to start taking, because citizens, your voice matters, but someone's got to manage that. Your city council should be on one channel page. Your county commissioner's court, your school board meetings. Then you should go and tell everybody what you heard, because a lot of people aren't going to sit by for hours. Let me tell you how easy that is. The city council meetings. First of all, your charter review. What should your charter review even be? Shouldn't that be to make sure your charter is adhering to the Constitution? You should kind of go over that every 10 years and just make sure your government's actually adhering to the city charter. That's not what the review boards say. The charter review boards are going in to make sure you're keeping up with everybody else and doing what all the neighboring cities and locations are. Wait a minute. That's exactly the opposite of what it means for the citizens to be in charge of their city and to work local. Do you think nobody's even going and listening to these arguments? That's how ranked choice voting is getting in. They're coming in through the charter review boards and the city attorney going, that's not a bad idea. Actually, let's have a very intelligent conversation about why ranked choice voting is the smartest thing we could do. Well, there's only 4 people in the whole town coming out to the meeting. Let's go ahead and let's see if that doesn't help. They're taking away in ignorance, and we are allowing it through apathy. And so if those two things can change because we organize information differently and we make it an agreeable scenario where in a 24/7 programming channel, they programmed an entire community to believe that the world is left. Even when the Bible says, the world, they're gonna hate you because they hated me, Jesus said. He's nowhere in there does he say, and there's more of them, and they're bigger than you, and they're gonna get you. And he said there's stuff's gonna go down, but he said, greater is he who's in you than he who's in the world. Have no fear, be of good courage. I overcame the world.
Amen.
So if we're gonna be in this, I think we froze for a minute there, babe.
You are frozen, yeah. Not on
Okay.
my end, though. There you go. You're back.
Okay.
And we're back.
And we're back. Sorry about that. No, but there's ways that we can do things better. And TV so about 80% of the content you're going to find on OBBM network TV is studio quality content. We partner with studios all across the country, and we work those deals to get some of the best stuff. So you've got content you're not finding everywhere else that is really, really helpful to understand this framework. Because if you do not know what evil looks like, and by the way, we don't blare out all the evil. You see that, you know it. But you got to resist it. If you don't resist it, what have you got? So you're supposed to resist evil, not just be like, I guess the world's evil. Damn. No, do something about that by educating people about what you can't recognize what evil is if you don't know what good is. So you've got to kind of know, you got to come from that space of knowing your Constitution, knowing your Bible, study to show yourself approved, do the hard work of understanding what those sustainable development goals are, because every area of your city and your county that has a regional governance, it ought to be a good idea. It was sold to us that it's a good idea, but it's actually the United Nations running us according to their framework. And that happens because the person you elected to work in a certain capacity that's answerable to you is now no longer answerable to you, because the first words in their handbook say you part of your job description is to be on a regional council where you create policy for all these areas, and nobody's got a vote in that. That's all. Policy is created on the regional level. And that policy is what's been running us. And those are things that we can push back on. We can stop that. We can cut it out. But the education's immense. And we just believe that instead of looking at millions of followers and subscribers and this crazy idea, because I used to teach it, this crazy idea that all of that is where your influence and your impact is. I got news for you. What it would take to get money off the stuff of those programs, you're looking at 5, 6, recordings every single day to put out, and then each one of them having hundreds of thousands, millions of viewers for you to. There's people doing that and they come back with a $3 paycheck. I mean, it's hard. If you came back at it with $15,000, was it really worth your entire life to spend it like that? That's your full-time job if that's what it is. So why not look at communities a little bit differently? With our model, you only need 10,000 in a local community. 10,000 viewers flips every single seat. It flips everything, because now you have educated people. And if you can't be educated in this space, I promise you can't save it, because you can't teach it to your children or your grandchildren. And so they can't know freedom. They can't know liberty. They can't know the love of Christ. So all of those things you have to study, you have to know it, because it's got to come out of you like water. It's got to be like, this is how we talk. This is free people talk like this. We're not spending all our time angry. We're stepping into, this is the premise and the reason why we have a First Amendment and the redress of grievances. People they've never seen redress of grievances till the COVID system. And when all that came into play, we started seeing what it looked like when people are going, hey, and then they saw it shut down. And for the first time, they realized, well, we don't have redress of grievances. But I don't hear anybody complaining about that. And that's what they're violating every time they tell you to sit down and shut up. You got your 3 minutes. Bring on the vendors. We'll let them talk for hours. You can talk at 10 o'clock at night for
Right.
3 minutes. And
Right.
we gotta switch that. With the OBBM network TV model, it is not user upload. We find the best programs and we hyper focus them in that local arena because your real influence is concentric circles of what you've done in your own backyard. It's your own family, your own neighborhood, and pretty soon those things matter beyond that. And now you've got cheerleaders and people that are taking your message even farther. Syndication on OBBM Network TV, all of the content goes into one thing. You'll notice when you look at our channels, all of our content, when you look at the on-demand, they all have these little numbers and letters in the beginning of those are file names so that our schedulers can find them and know where they are and know what episode they're in. And they feel that, so syndication is very grassroots. This is a very, very smart way to get good content out there, good answerable content. We need truth and honesty. But my business partner will tell you, and you have dogs, so you know this, if they don't want to take their medicine, what do you got to do? You got to give it a little peanut butter, right? A little cheese. And he
Yeah.
tells everybody,
Or just force it into their throat and
stop it. Nah.
swallow. That's what you got to do. A lot of times, a lot of animals.
Yeah,
But
well, he says, the community's sick, and it's sick because the lack of knowledge. We don't know enough to protect ourselves. We don't know enough. It's our job to educate the people that represent us. We get a good man or woman into office on any level at all, and they're going to have to now. They're going to. What do I do today? And they're going to get a book that says, "Well, you agreed to this in 2014," and it's completely outside of what we voted them in to do. But they don't know any different, and pretty soon the first thing they're taught is how to manage us, you know, those people. Those people in your community, and it's like, no, you're supposed to be representing us to make sure none of this illegal, unconstitutional garbage is going on in our cities, in our communities, in our counties. But we're too ignorant to know. That's where you stop it. You got to cut it back, like right there. And so if we're educating these people that are running for us and holding them accountable, going, I know you. I know you. I expect you, when you are operating in that capacity, to uphold the laws of the land. First and foremost, that's what you do. You say no to all this stuff. It's not about how many bills can I sign. It's about how many can I shut down and make sure never get through. Stop signing bills. You don't know what you're signing. You're giving away the farm. Take a look at this stuff. There's none of them are reading 1,500, 2,500 pages. That's not happening. And those judges are not reading the opining judge's opinion of the Supreme Court. They're not reading that stuff either. No, there isn't a judge that knows the law. They couldn't possibly know it. It's too contrived. It's up to the best arguer and the political bent of the person in the robe.
And then they start judging or making decisions based on precedent. What was decided on a similar case in the past? Okay, we'll go the same way because we've set precedent. It doesn't necessarily follow the law, does it?
No, it's about the same protocol. You got to do this for this problem in the hospital.
Yeah. On the left, I don't know anybody. I'm sorry, but I don't know anybody on the left that's doing what you're doing, which makes me happy. I mean, we got people addicted to Netflix and Amazon. They're getting their movies there. But when it comes to television programming, they've got cable, they've got satellite, they've got networks. Networks are all but dead, and they deserve it. We're not watching them so much anymore, but we've replaced it with people who are every bit as nefarious and wicked. Jeff Bezos with Amazon. You're giving him money to do what? We've replaced it with things we're subscribing to, and once we get locked into that, we don't even know how to get out of it. So along comes OBBM network television, where you can get alternative programming, conservative Christian programming, and
family programming.
Yeah. I love it. I think it's exciting, but getting people to go there is tough when they're already ensconced by the left with other ways for them to get their entertainment.
Well, that's why we've got a lot of the way we've got to go about it is very different, and that's good. Let's just throw out what we used to know about reach and everything else, and start looking at it differently. We do a lot of speaking. We started the Media Liberty Alliance Foundation, which actually is a way for conservatives to help support this movement, even before advertising. But we also partner with the most cutting edge technology out there, and the stuff we're rolling out, like right now, is really amazing for specifically for local markets. I always say the most patriotic thing you can do is get behind a local business and don't let them go out, because this Jeff, once you have one way to shop, one source for all your options, and they're weaning us into that with Walmart and with all that thinking.
Yeah.
But when you get into something like that where those are your only choices, I mean, there you have no America without local business. You don't even have it. So it's so super important. But they need to know how to be reached, how to find. We partner with the most amazing technology right now that we can offer data that nobody else has, specifically because of the way we're reaching into the communities. We've just rolled out a new program specifically for precinct chairs, because nobody knows what they are anymore. So why not teach them how to have a show? Start email marketing directly to their group. Well, how great is that data for advertisers, and to be able to reach specifically where they need in their location with actionable content that helps them go, oh, this is what's going on. This is what it takes to be a precinct chair. Oh, they go together. They're friends. They hang out. Look at that. It's a whole culture of people that care about their Constitution and care about our country. That's not what the left would portray it as at all. And it's not this activist. It's people. It's you and me going, hey, there's a better way to do this. And then reaching into that community with that. So
What's the name of that again?
with our precinct chair strategies, yeah, several of
No,
them.
the channel,
OBBM
the group.
Network TV.
No, not that. The one you just mentioned a minute ago that you said that's why we've started this group. What group was that again?
Precinct chairs. We're creating a precinct chair whole strategy, a precinct strategy. So, and I totally love Dan Schultz with precinct strategy, by the way, and I love everything he's doing there. He's right. We've got 50% of our chairs open, and with 50% of them open, well, if they were closed, if we had one of us sitting in those chairs across this country, we'd never lose again. That's all it takes, because there are.
Explain what a precinct is and a precinct chair.
So your local community, on top of, have you ever seen your voter ID card?
Mhm.
Super important. Take it out and look at it. You should know what it means, because everybody that represents you is in it. All those little numbers on it. If you've ever been a precinct judge, for the elections, that's why I know how important this is as an alt judge and as a judge at the election precinct. That's a location that's several blocks, and for whatever whatever party won in that precinct before, that's who's going to run your local election at your precinct level in that area. But they are required to have both a conservative and a liberal. So both parties are represented. One's the judge, one's the alt judge.
Yeah, and who decides who's conservative?
Well, the Republican Party, unfortunately, but it's still a good thing to get in there and sit down and meet people and talk with them, because when you start realizing how media has caused the division, they don't even know. Most liberals, if it don't realize, most Democrats don't realize how actually they're probably very Republican on many, many levels. They don't even know it, because they've been kind of trained through the media without looking beyond it. So it was important.
It's easy to be on the left. It's
So when
easy.
you look at your voter card, all these numbers up here tell you this is where your judge is, this is the area, this is who you vote for, and these are the people you complain to when you've got an issue in your community. So it's important to be able to tie those pieces together.
I don't even have one of those.
Yeah, get your voter
Maybe
ID.
that's a Texas thing. We don't have them in California. We all register to vote online, register to vote.ca.gov. I don't have one of those cards you're talking about and you're showing.
That's it, because they were told we were
vote. I'm registered, but I don't have one of those cards.
You got to, and those are all the types of things we have to fight for. There's all kinds of talk about what that is. It's this racist idea that you would have a voter ID card that proves who you are. And there is, if you don't know who's representing you, where's your armor? You don't have any. And so I think it's important to step into that space and go, okay, these are the people that, and to understand my precinct, because your precinct number is there. So you couldn't walk anywhere and go and talk with a friend and go, oh, I'm in this precinct. Well, I'm in this precinct, and know what's going on. Right? What does my neighborhood say when I'm out walking the dog and I'm out on the trail and we just stop and visit and talk? You, I mean, we're not having the conversations, and if we did, we're not armed with enough information to say, oh, well, there are more with us. More people really do get that. Oh, you're talking about those nasty books in school. Oh, that book burning. Well, do you know what the books are? You probably don't, because you were told this is book burning Nazi time,
Mhm. Mhm.
and it's like what are we doing here? You got teachers getting fired if they don't agree that a child is another gender right there in California.
Oh, yeah.
That's happened to elementary, kindergarten kids. I
Oh, yeah.
mean, we're just if we don't have these conversations, we can't fix it. And all I'm saying is in the future, guess what, folks? OBBM Network TV is going to turn television around. You aptly mentioned something earlier. You said, "Well, who's watching? How do you even get there?" What we did is copied a lot of what Fox News was doing with their local apps and said, "Well, they're not really local actually." But we can be. Let's think big. What if we threw out everything we knew about media before and said, if it worked, what would it be? Well, it would be centralized to where you have a mayor and a city council. That's the range. If you have to vote for those areas, we make it a huge commitment. You should never have to pay $5,000 to run for a local seat. We want to change that. You can do that on OBBM Network TV for $150. You can start making a difference in that place. The GOP won't even know what's happening. Get people together in the living room. Set them up there with a little microphone. I show people how to do it all day long. You can do that now with your telephone and a tripod. Under $100, you can have the whole setup and just sit in there and record that doggone thing and give it to OBBM Network TV. We'll put it up on your local channel for you because the community can know then who they want to get behind.
This is like, well, we used to have, cable access channel when cable was all huge. When
A
you and
lot
I were
like
growing up, cable was coming on the scene. Remember, they had one channel set aside, and it was all local programming, and they were supposed to not say no to anybody. They do now, though. But they had the cable access channel. That's what this reminds me of.
It's
So,
if it worked. We're what it should have been to begin with. It never
yeah.
was. It wasn't just fluffy TV to kinda keep your mind occupied in old westerns. It's not that. All day long, you're gonna get programming that actually makes a difference. You're gonna understand what's going on with the land. You're gonna understand what's going on with the water, with those lithium battery mines. What about your Bitcoin mines? What are people really saying when they build them right next to their homes? What are they going through? Is this something we want? And how much of it is China? And do you know what a foreign trade zone is? Do you know what a foreign trade zone is? Well, it's the way you completely sidestep any tariff that China might ever be under because they can operate, according to your county commissioner, under a foreign trade zone. And they're completely outside of all of that. We got to realize that what you're hearing one thing on the federal side, but they're hyper moving quickly right here on the local level. Your freedom's at stake, your health's at stake, your family's at stake, your nation's at stake. You got 3.5 years if you can keep this man alive. And he's setting an example that says, this is what no sounds like. I said no. And sometimes we have to sound like that, unfortunately. We have to say, but we have to also be educated enough to know where to push those limits of the Constitution, push them in the right direction. And really, because what he's doing while he gets shut down by every judge over here and judge over here, what he's exposing is the corruption on the judicial side. Because if we don't fix that, we can't fix anything. But you'd never see it. So they take it as far as they can. They know full well they're going to get slammed on that stuff. But if we don't start doing that here, and he's got the money to throw around to do that, right? I mean, on a personal level, and of course, all the taxpayer dollars. But, when are we going to start taking that responsibility and saying, I expect more from my local space? And meanwhile, to get you to watch that, because you never would watch that, it's not very interesting at all. We're probably going to give you a cooking show and a pet show and some kids programming and some talk show and a conservative version of The View. And maybe you'll find a church where they actually lay hands on the sick and they're made well. Maybe you'll find something that's actually a better representation of the kingdom of God on OBBM Network TV, because it's not church TV, it's not OAN, it's not Newsmax, and it's not Rumble. This is your community. These are your neighbors. This is your backyard. And so preserve it. We can help you.
Are you familiar with Sam Anthony, yournews.com?
Yep, I've spoken with him. I like what he's doing very much. I told
I
him I
do
wanted
too.
reporters.
He's doing more of the kind of he's taking the place of newspapers as we've known them and doing exactly what you're doing with being
Back.
able to hyper focus locally,
Mhm.
or you can find out what's going, watch national programming or worldwide,
Right,
uh,
right.
all
And
in
we
one
offer that as
place.
well. Yeah.
Nobody's been doing that on the television side. That's why I brought up the Netflix and
Mhm.
Amazon thing. We got the left that's been providing entertainment as
All
an
of
alternative to what we've always known. But it's not good. It's not good programming. You're giving your money to very evil people. Bottom line. Um, I don't know of anybody who's doing what your newscaster studio, I guess, comes close, but I'm familiar
I've
with them.
spoken with him too. He's doing some
Faith
really
and
good
freedom,
things. I
faith
told
and
him I
freedom.
wanted Birmingham information. Bring me because that's what we need. Every single local community needs to know about the news in there. I love like you said with Sam Anthony. I told him you've got reporters out there, and he's training them how to actually be journalists again. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness, there isn't anything more important than that. So
No.
yeah, bring that. They can do
It's
video.
exciting. It's exciting to me. I love what you're doing. This makes me happy.
Good.
But I've watched Christian channels that offer programming. It's a far even cheaper version than what's that? What's Hallmark? It's like Hallmark Channel kind of programming. So there's a lot of fluff and really no meat per se. But it sounds like you've opened the door to so much more. And what does OBBM actually stand for?
Thank you. Well, when we started this, OBBM Network TV had to do with the name of our first company. It was an acronym that had to do with find your rhythm in the marketplace. We supported local business with their own with television media, and so Offbeat Business Media was all about that. Was about find your rhythm in the marketplace. But you couldn't. We still stood on those platforms of the Constitution and the Bible, and if you can't get distribution, yeah, that was a big problem. And so in August of 2023, I went into partnership with one of the show hosts that we used to produce, Larry Courtcamp, and he was able to find some really great technology. And come to find out, we are really ensconced just completely every aspect of our company, our conservatives that care about our data privacy, how we're actually going to be able to work in this space, everything from the finance, for local communities to actually have their own an economy and ecology that works well, a whole ecosystem that works well for that local community. And I'm telling you, I think it's going to be time very closely. I'm looking for ranching shows. I'm looking for local because they don't know through the systems and the supply chains how to sell directly to the public, and they're going to go out of business because they're after their land. They're over-regulating them on purpose. They can quickly come into a much better financial situation because this hot conservative market wants to buy clean meat before it ever gets to the
Yes.
supply house. So
Yes.
if they can learn how to do that, we can teach them and we can help them get those messages out. But we need to do that, or we're all going to be poisoned and sick little twerps like they imagine in their books.
Mhm.
And that's the point. And I promise you, the Gavin Newsoms in this world read those books and live by them. The Nancy Pelosi's of this world, they've got a very different way. The Greg Abbotts of this world have a very different way of looking at the community and looking at what they're supposed to be and what we are. They don't see us as people that they had a responsibility to protect. They look at us like that we are there to work for them to live in perpetuity in these situations that they've.
Chattel.
Right.
Chattel.
Yes, sir. That's
Many in the media I hate their audience. I know, believe me, I can tell you stories about people who had great viewership, great listenership, very successful. And then, when we're off the air, they're talking about the audience. They hate them.
yeah.
They call them muggles. They call us muggles. I used to be part of that. I was one of them, but I had never had that attitude. I always loved the audience. I appreciated them, and I was excited to meet them. But many on my side hate you. Hate is a strong word, and I'm not saying it by accident. They hate you. And that hasn't changed.
Yeah.
They still have that amazing arrogance that they are better and smarter than you. You just need to sit down and shut up and do everything they say because they know a better way. And they're reading these books that Susan here is talking about. They're part of the 2030, the whole New World Order thing, the one world government thing. They're doing their father's work just as quickly as possible, for his time is short. And their father is the father of lies. Ephesians 5:11 powers this show, Susan. It has from the beginning. Ephesians 5:11, be no part of the works of darkness, but instead even expose them. That's my little niche. That's what I do. I talk about two things you're never supposed to talk about because, oh, you don't do that in polite society. Well, you know what? I'm done. I'm done being polite. I'm going to continue speaking out. I don't care what social media does. I don't care what anybody else does or says or tries to shut down me and people like me. I'm going to continue, even if I'm standing on a street corner like the apostles did in the early church, shouting out to anybody who will listen nearby, going to the synagogue, going to the temple, going to the church, and trying to speak out against this wickedness that's permeating us and the church and the conservative side of things too. We've got a whole lot of wickedness that's permeated the party here in California. You mentioned Governor Greg Abbott. He's your governor there in Texas. You're not all on board with what he's doing then?
He's not that we do not have a conservative government in the state of Texas. Anybody that operates in this space and goes down there and talks to them and knows full well we don't. It's unfortunate, but the United Nations is the governance in that capacity. They don't even see it. I'm not. Here's what the phrase that I look for when they start talking. These unelected bureaucrats. Well, unelected bureaucrats actually have a name and they're listed and they've taken them off of these sites. But they actually, what happened, the North Central Texas Council of Governments is in our area, but you've got councils of government that have erupted around your community, promise you, and they are operating in several counties wide, and they are, guess who they are? Well, your school districts, your city councils, your commissioners courts, your energy companies, any of your large corporations that have a stakeholders in your area. They're all listed there, and what they do is they come to their agreements before they ever bring it to a vote. So they've already made their decisions. There is zero you have to do with any of this at this stage. The government is in operation all around you. The only change that you can do is be more of you, be louder, and enforce the Constitution, because it's enforced like that. It's simply enforced. It's enforced by just standing your ground. Remember, he says you don't have to fight in this war, but he did tell us to go. He did tell us to go. He said over and over and over again. It wasn't. You know, the idea that this thing gets to be bigger than you and take over, it's that, yeah, it's going to look pretty scary, but I'm going to give you these 3 rocks. He makes the things that these people think are so wise, he makes them fools.
David and Goliath, yeah.
He makes them
Uh,
fools because if
as
all we've
Jesus told
really
his
got to do
apostles.
is stand
Jesus
on his
told
word.
his, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, well, as Jesus told his apostles towards the end, before he left our planet, and he will return. He's here now spiritually, but he said, sell your tunic and buy a sword. Why would he tell them that? To take a sword, and if you don't have one, sell your tunic and buy one. How would he tell them to take a sword? We're in very, very wicked times, and we need to speak up and speak out. And we can't, but we also need to support the groups like what Susan Hamilton is doing with OBBM TV. We need to support them. We need to lift them up. We need to tell others about them and encourage them. We've got to start coming together as our own community, because there's coming a time where they will shut everything down. And that's all we're going to have. And if you're not on board before that all happens, and that sounds apocalyptic. Well, yeah, I've read the book of Revelation. We got to start protecting each other and lifting each other up. And OBBM TV, I think, is a good place to start. How do we find it? Where do we go?
OBBM Network TV is going to be on your Roku, your Fire TV, your Amazon TV, Apple TV, your Roku. So just like anything else that you're watching, once you add OBBM Network TV app, we're relatively new, so you're probably depending on the age of your TV, you may still have to add us. So if you've got to add us, you go to the search bar and you add that, and now you've got access to every single channel that we offer. If you want a channel in your location, just know we do speak to groups. So we are happy to do that. We love to meet in person. So let us know if we can come speak to your group and show you how. We train you how to have your own hyper-local, citizen-led channel that reflects your own community. We desperately need that to be able to be successful here. We have yeah, it can be, because I'll tell you why he told you a sword, because a sword is a two-edged sword. That's his voice, his words in your mouth. That it's the only offensive weapon you have. Your voice changes everything. You were made like your father, and he created everything with his words. He upholds all things with the word of his power. So when we are speaking those words, it's more powerful than anything else that you have. As he told, was it Peter with the sword in the soldier's ear? I mean, he also picked up the ear and put it right back on that soldier. I mean, so it's not about him inspiring violence so much as he says the kingdom of God has been assaulted, and we get it through violence. And he's talking about the fact that we have to be hot or cold. We have to be ready to take that back, and it's a different way. Our fight isn't like everybody else's fight. We've got all those solid things, and then we just stand in it and we ask him. And I exhort your community, be praying together, pray for the government, pray for the return of the Lord, and our ability to communicate better, because that ultimately is more important. Everybody you think you hate, he might love, and so you probably ought to pray for him. There's that. But what can we do to be a solution actor? Because our kids don't know how to talk to each other.
No,
Our kids don't know. They're not going to know that. For everything that DEI did to make everybody hold together, you get them all in a room and they don't have any idea how to communicate.
no.
They don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
And so we have
Exactly.
got an example to set there with all of it. And so, I appreciate you letting people know, about what we're doing. I appreciate you being powerful and standing on your voice and realizing he gave it to you for a reason. You're bringing all your expertise from your years of working in this space. That's a lot that you bring to the table, and what a huge responsibility. And I'm really grateful to you that you didn't sit back and go, well, this sucks, and sit down. Instead, you said, all right, well, what am I going to do with this really wonderful thing he gave me? And just continue. Only this time you're going at it in a way that you're going to do the very best you can. I'm excited to talk with you and see what we can do about adding your content with OBBM Network TV. And
Oh, that'd be fun. I'd love that. I would
let's
value that.
encourage our communities with resources that they can use, and with a message that's of hope and a message of solutions. Because there's always going to be people pointing out the flaws in the system. Do we know what they are enough to actually help people overcome those flaws, or are we just yakety yakking? When there were people dying, remember that when all the people would get together when somebody would die, that was the big thing in the New Testament. Everybody get together and they'd wail and scream. You actually paid those people to do that.
Yes, they paid mourners. They
They
paid mourners.
Why? Because it's emotionally impactful. That was the media of their day. It was emotionally impactful. It gets people
And
all
dishonest. And
out.
dishonest.
Well, I mean, for whatever
They
it is,
continue it.
those people had to get out of the way and get moved out before a solution could come. It's like, so we don't want to be the noise. We want to be the answer. We want to be that you shed a light on things while we show people what works. And in that context, you do overcome evil with good. And it is supernatural, and it does look crazy and sound crazy and seem completely impossible. But what a fun way to live. Now that flips everything, because now life is this really grand adventure during the most important time we could ever be alive.
Amen. It's not an accident that we're on earth at this time, is it? Nothing happens by accident when you're in Christ Jesus. Susan Hamilton, what's the website, by the way? We want to do a little more research. Where do we find that?
OBBMnetwork.tv. Please join. It's a free membership, but just like anything with YouTube, Facebook, or any place else that you are, you log in and then you're logged in. So log in online. It's the easiest way to join with your free membership, and then go add it to your TV in the living room. Television should be a social event. Get your neighbors over and start communicating again, and enjoy something and get a little education in your family. But you make sure you join and log in then online. You can also
I'm
find us
going to do it.
on
I'm
your
doing it
phone.
right away.
You get it on your phone app, and then you can text it.
Good.
When you find something you like, you can text this to somebody else. So a million ways you can use this.
Great stuff, man. Susan, this is awesome. Thank you so much for being on my little old show. I appreciate you more than you know, my friend.
Thank you. Great to meet you.
I'm going to go right now. Oh, in fact, I got to sign off because I got to do this right now. OBBMnetwork.tv, not .com, not .net, .tv. OBBMnetwork.tv. Now we got our marching orders. Let's do it. Let's get it done, son. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly, America bless God.